Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Massillon Public Library. My name's Laura Klein. I am currently the Askren branch manager, so if you haven't been to our Navarre branch, I invite you to come down there. We do have another branch in Brewster inside Fairless Elementary, and some people don't know that. And we also have a bookmobile, so please feel free to visit any of our locations. And this event is the 18th annual poetry read-in. And the 17th annual awarding of the poetry contest. It's part of the Big Read, and I'm glad to have our representatives from the museum here tonight, Bailey and Stephanie. And as you know, the Big Read is something we do in conjunction with the Massillon Museum. They get a grant each year to provide books, a certain title, to the public. If you haven't gotten yours yet, we might still have some upstairs in the adult department. And we still have a couple programs left around that topic. So if you have our green newsletter, you'll see April 27th on Saturday from noon to 2, the family program about Africa, and then Taste of Ghana on Monday, April 29th at 5:30. You do have to register for that one. And you can learn how to make African peanut stew and sobolo, a drink made from hibiscus leaves. So that sounds good. But I just want to thank everybody for being here on behalf of the library and in honor of National Library Week, National Poetry Month, and the Big Read. And I would like to start off by introducing our judge, who's been our poetry judge for many years. He's a professor at Stark State College in English, of course. And if you've been here before, you have enjoyed his own poetry that he recites for us. And so I'd like us to welcome Dwayne Matthew Dodson. I'm going to ask everybody when they come up if they'll come up on this side because the cord is over here.
Good evening, everyone. It's always such a pleasure to see a full crowd of people who enjoy listening to poetry. This is not a sports event. It's not conventional entertainment, music, concert, that type of thing. Obviously, they can fill stadiums, but poetry, I think, is wonderful because it's therapeutic. It can appeal to all ages, and it's something that really does not require much other than one's own imagination, one's own love of the language, and one's own desire to express what's in one's heart in an elevated tone. Shelley said that poets are the unacknowledged legislators of mankind. Poets think deeply and try to become in touch with themselves and also with everything that's going on around them. And it's a wonderful experience to learn, to listen, to love words and poetry, because through poetry you can express all manner of emotions, all manner of expressions, all manner of thoughts in a way that is probably going to appeal to at least someone. My pleasure to be here. I teach at Stark State College and I teach English composition, but the writing that these students do is not creative writing. And so I always look forward to this time of year, because during this time of year, I can experience what is my passion as opposed to my profession, which is what I do for the rest of the year. So thank you all so much for being here. I truly hope you enjoy the evening. Okay, our award winners. Our first award winner is from the grade 3 to 8 category, and that would be Kennedy Kirby for Love is Like. Kennedy?
Where's Kennedy?
Kennedy would come up and It's all right. That's
She
all
may not
right.
be reading.
Okay.
Would you like Mr. Dodson to read it for you?
All right. Okay. All right, we will move on to the
Do you have it?
second category. Excuse me.
Kennedy?
Yes. Is that all right if I read it? Okay, all right, wonderful, all right. This is actually, I think, one of the advantages of being able to write something and share it on paper, because there are times when we simply don't feel comfortable sharing ourselves with other people. However, we can do it on paper, and if we do it on paper, then we're still sharing it. We're still able to reveal what is deep within ourselves. And as Kennedy grows and as she gets a little bit more comfortable with crowds, I'm sure she will begin to share her poetry, and I encourage her to do so. But at this point, I would be happy to read her poem, which is entitled, Love is Like. And she has it actually, this is what poets refer to as a matching of form to content. The poem was written in the shape of a heart, so you can see it here. And this is Love is Like by Kennedy Kirby. Love is like turning a page. You never know what's gonna happen next. Love is like opening a book. You'll never know unless you read it through. Love is like starting a new chapter. You just have to read it. Turning a page is love. Thank you so much, Kennedy. And then we have our second category, grades 9 through 12. And the winner of that category is Caden Tadaro. Did I pronounce the name correctly? Is it Tadaro? Tadaro. Caden Tadaro for the poem entitled My Man.
My man. My man is good to me. He's a stubborn kind. My man is sweet on me. Clears my troubles kind. My man is giving to me. Gold and silver piling kind. My man ain't got no one in life, except for the me kind. My man don't harbor love, except for the with me kind. My man can't ever want no daughter, except for the with us kind. My man finds trouble in my hunger kind. My man finds heartache in my tears kind. And my man finds issue in my tire kind. Now hear close and listen fine. If I want from my man, he's the I'll find the time kind. If I burn up and hate my man, he's the all gone away just fine kind. If I ease up and long to kiss my man, he's the leans with and shouts mercy kind. Now hear close and listen fine. If my clothes drip wet and need a dry, he's the let me hold up a line kind. If I need my bread and it needs a bake, he's the let me brick an oven kind. Hear my voice and hear my cry. If my day needs an end and with slumber I am fine, he's the come rest your head kind. All this true of my man, and I've learned of his simple kind. Yet I'll admit my man ain't no man, just a glow of self-perception, self-esteem, and of selfish pride. Looking in the mirror, there he stands, and when looked from bust to gain a size, I see no man, solely I.
Okay, and the final winner for the adult category could not be here tonight due to a personal situation she had to take care of. Her name is Diana Lund, and she has a pseudonym. She writes as Janet Day, and her poem is entitled The Lunch of Exiles, which I will be happy to share with you. The Lunch of Exiles. Forced exile from our real lives brought us together by chance from different histories, now with a similar future. We sit with tea and talk, each with our past stories, revealing our differences, guarding our real lives from the other, silently comparing how we are better suited to this new reality than the other. Lunch is full of tasty morsels of food seasoned with tidbits of gossip, mostly of people we only know by veiled reference, sharing little parcels of insight to help us cope with a future neither wants in a place neither likes. Together we sit and talk of things that do not matter, but for a chance to be heard by someone, anyone, for a moment.
All right, and now we come to the portion of the evening where we invite people to come up and read either their own work or something that they have found or something by a classic author. And I will start us off with The Owl by Arthur Z. from Poet in Your Pocket Day website, because National Poetry Month has to have a poem in your pocket day. You just carry around a poem. This one is entitled The Owl, and this actually reminds me of something that happened to me when I worked at Spring Hill Historic Home, that there was an owl. My mother's laughing. There was an owl that got in the house, and it was in a closet, and it's a long story, but it flew away free. So this is called The Owl by Arthur Z. The path was purple in the dusk. I saw an owl perched on a branch, and when the owl stirred, a fine dust fell from its wings. I was silent then and felt the owl quaver, and at dawn, waking, the path was green in the May light. So when the owl came out of the closet, it actually did flap some dust into my eyes. I have another one by Paul Laurence Dunbar, who's a very famous poet, called Summer in the South. The oriole sings in the greening grove, as if he were halfway waiting. The rosebuds peep from their hoods of green, timid and hesitating. The rain comes down in a torrent sweep, and the nights smell warm and piney. The garden thrives, but the tender shoots are yellow-green and tiny. Then a flash of sun on a waiting hill, streams laugh that erst were quiet. The sky smiles down with a dazzling blue, and the woods run mad with riot. All right, at this time, I would like to invite anybody who feels that they would like to read something or recite something to come up, and we're very informal here. Everybody's among friends, so hopefully you will just raise your hand and I'll call on you for a family-friendly poem, and you have a limit of 5 minutes just in case you would go longer than that. Who's going to raise their hand first? I'm not getting any. Oh, someone in the back. Come on up. And if you'd like to tell us your name and go ahead and read.
Hi, my name is Lexi, and this is a poem I wrote called Flight of the Starlings. There is unity in flight, follow them and become one in the line. Condensed in deep waves of the sky, foam of the air and water rush. Follow, eyes closed and foreknow the curves. As they will, continue on, be one of many. Feel the fear of precognition. Feel their sharp bend and be lost in the wave. You, floating star in orbit, hopelessly thrashing, outlier. Loneliness of the wave, no rush to follow. Starling alone, afloat in the calm water. Don't lose track of the bend. Do not be a deviation. Little starling, be quick, rejoin their murmuration.
That was lovely. The murmuration, I love that. Anybody else going to volunteer? In the back.
Hello, my name is George Martinez. I have a poem that I wrote myself. It's called Eternity and Love. Love, you say, is forever for you and me, and every day I would believe those words. They made me so happy and carefree. But you were using those words carelessly. I noticed that, and now my head hurts. You hurt me when all I did was treat you selflessly. Betrayed me when I was your devotee. Now you have turned our love into a curse, and it is clear for everyone to see. You took things to the worst degree. You caused us to disperse, and now my heart is dust and debris. You doing this sets us both free, but I've never seen anyone do it worse, with you giving no emotion towards me. So goodbye, my love, for all eternity.
That was excellent. I enjoyed that. Thank you, George. Anyone else? We're going to have a really short program tonight if nobody else is going to read anything. Kat?
Thank you. Okay. Kind of short, so. Okay, I have a couple. That's okay. Okay, this one was inspired when the Mona Lisa was defaced. Someone threw something at it. So I looked up the history of the Mona Lisa. It's not the first time that's happened. Mona Lisa survives. Lovely lady, beneath your midnight veil, no one suspects the trials you have endured. Doused in acid, stoned by man, you withstood the brandished blade without a single scratch. Though those attacks prompted the glass that parts you from us now, still, ugly souls assault you as you sit with your folded hands, silent. They mock your shield bloodied by bright red paint. They throw cups empty of tea you'll not drink. They try to break you, smear cake on your face, like a bride on her white wedding day. You have survived 5 centuries of gilded fame. You have earned your coquette smile. Your almond eyes hide the artist's sign and search the milling crowd. I took a watercolor class last year, and this was inspired by that. Watercolors. Practice trains you to observe everyday details. The exact blue of heaven isn't blue. It's cobalt, azure, gold, or scarlet. Rose blooms into violet. Silver marbles the horizon before blackest night. Awash in color, Rorschach's blossom. My mind's edges, cauliflower errors, discover possibility. Fill each canvas with pauses, lightening and brightening, always saving the darkest for last. Nothing cannot be adapted to something new, something better. Forgiveness is pigment. Forgiveness is water, brush, paper, always ready to soak up excess or spread radiant hues. Ad-libbing elements, an individual choice. Ships may soar dew-kissed sky, clouds break like china cups. Black holes rip gaping edges in the empty vault of heaven, ready to swallow all. This one is about how appearances aren't always what they seem, because I saw a video of, I don't remember if it's a tortoise or a turtle, I get them mixed up, but it was in the water with all these moths circling. And if you looked at the comment section of the video, everybody thought it was so sweet the moths were going around the turtle, but that's not what they were doing. They weren't comforting the turtle or the tortoise. So it's called Moth Tears. Feather-light white moths with open wings prey upon the massive bovine's bright eye. Pale hearts circle one large brown iris, points dip into its deep chocolate depth. Impatient for distress, they probe its tenderness and feast upon her pain, a delicacy of salt tears. Lachrymose hunters disguised by pale angel wings, a guise of innocence may mask the darkest desire. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Those were awesome. Anybody else ready to share? If not, I'm going to break out my limericks that I wrote in 1979. Oh,
I'll read one if you,
Bailey?
if you need more people.
yes, certainly. Bailey Younger. Welcome. So I read this poem when I was in high school, and then during college, somebody sent it to me during a rough time in my life. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down, one as far as I could to where it had bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for the passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads onto way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Yes.
Classic, to be sure. Yes, everybody loves Robert Frost. All right, I'm going to break out the limericks. You ready? I threatened to do this last year, but I didn't have them. And someone found them for me, so. Or do you want to do one, Margaret?
I just want to share one that's one of my favorite poems, because what it says to me is that, you know, we're all poets in our soul, and we think we have to go on and say all these beautiful words. There was a poet named Ogden Nash who wrote many beautiful poets, but the favorite poem he ever wrote is The Soul of Brevity, and it says it like spot on, and here's what it is. God in his wisdom created the fly. I don't know why.
Now, see, I wish you would have come up here and done that. All right. Limericks by Laura. Now, I was like, 11, so I did not, these are not limericks that are inappropriate in any way. There was a young lady of Trent whose money her friends took and spent. She got a job husking corn on the cob, still she couldn't pay all of her rent. Come on. There once was a small man from Flint who actually got stuck in a vent. He got out in a squeeze, but squished toward his knees. He was stared at wherever he went.
That sounds like Chelsea.
Okay, one more. This sad-looking sheep from Thorn wishes she'd never been born. Why is she depressed? Let me tell you the rest. She is scared that she will be shorn. All right. Dwayne, you have one for us? Well, other Dwayne, I'm sorry. No, we have two Dwaynes with us tonight.
Okay. Good evening. My name's Dwight. That's okay.
Dwight, I apologize.
That's all right. I wrote this one about 6 years ago. I had a stroke, and I really struggled with the changes that I had to make. And it's called Uninhabitable. Moving out. Place isn't the same. Hold sentimental value, but I've outgrown it. Too small to house all my blessings. No more room in my walk-in closet to hang all of my hopes. Collected so much junk, can't find what I need. Boxes upon boxes of doubt, frustrations, fears, and even friends, for lack of a better word, stacked to the ceiling. No room to breathe. Just get rid of stuff, they said. But there's other issues. Place isn't insulated at all. Haters and negative influencers seep through every wall, window, and door. Dreams escape through the roof. Stove doesn't cook like it used to, burning ideas before they're done. Cable goes out every week, bringing back disturbing news about disturbing people doing disturbing things. Toilet won't even flush the waste people dump here. Nope, moving out of this mindset. Maybe you should move too.
Very inspirational. All right, Shannon, you have one?
I would do one. I forgot my glasses though, so hopefully I can see the dumb thing. Okay, this is called Our Pond. You exist, wise just for your still nature, being there, day in, day out, always waiting, it seems, for us to take the moments to enjoy your bath-like water with inflatable rafts and laughter that you inevitably evoke. That you inevitably evoke. Unlike the steaming sink water, barely tolerating it as I wash dishes endlessly, it seems, and get worked up in my mind about you not understanding me or me not understanding you, feeling like we don't just enjoy the views and pure earth we've been given here, tooling most of the day away in the stuffy house, and then you suddenly say, I'm going to go jump in the pond, and we all follow, inevitably refreshed for the rest of the day, even after just waiting our sore feet at the shore. But you're too kind, pond, to say, I told you so.
That was really good. Anybody else? Don't all jump at once. George, you want to come back up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec. I have a limerick. It's called Football Stinks. Hey you, have you heard the news? The football team is about to lose. The score is bad, and I see the coach is so mad. Maybe it's because of his stinky shoes.
Very funny. We are going to be publishing this on our YouTube, so hopefully anybody who didn't get to come can see you on our YouTube. Anybody else want to read before we turn it over to Dwayne? Dwayne?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kat.
I had one more.
You have one more? Okay.
Okay.
Sure, that's great.
Okay, this one was inspired by, I read an article about someone who found out his grandfather was a Nazi. When he went to Germany, he had no idea. He found out he was in the party and everything, so I wrote a poem based on that. It was based, he did all this family research and found out stories about what happened, so. It's called Jew in the Garden. Skeletal men in striped uniforms visit the house and do odd jobs. I give them food, although I've been told not to. We stay in barracks at my husband's work, watch chimney smoke blacken the sky. I tell my husband they're burning the Jews, and he says no, they wouldn't do that. I wonder why he says they when he wears a uniform, goose steps with pen and ink instead of lifted knee. He laments bookwork for a business that kills its workers yet pays for their coffins. Couldn't he smell the burnt flesh like I could? Our children will survive long enough to tend their own gardens and feel shame for what we did to save them. He always loved to garden, to dirty his hands, to feel dark, rich soil between his fingers, to sow the seeds our children will harvest. What seeds do we plant this day? He looks handsome in his uniform. What slight shift would it take for us to wear theirs, their stripes? And yet he keeps us safe, loves the bright, innocent faces, provides us a home and gardens when no one else comes to do the work that I pay for with the scraps I'm not allowed to give.
A very sad one, but I do enjoy hearing where you get your inspirations from. She always has an interesting story about where she gets her ideas from. All right, somebody else? Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to Dwayne Dodson to close us out.
Okay.
We had one poem tonight that talked about perception, talked about the fact that people see things in different ways. And that's a really salient thought, that you can look at something and see one thing, and someone else can look at it and see something completely different. And this applies to art as well. But this is a poem I wrote entitled Second Sight. I wrote it quite some time ago. And I don't remember exactly what inspired it, but I know that it had to do with the fact that I was depending too much upon what I saw with my eyes as opposed to what I understood with my heart. This is called Second Sight. The blind man showed me how to see. He told me, friend, forget your eyes. He moved me and enlightened me. He said, sight lives when vision dies. He told me, friend, forget your eyes. Find shade and form in smells and sounds. He said, sight lives when vision dies. Then senses grow by leaps and bounds. Find shade and form in smells and sounds. We learn and feel with heart and hand. Then senses grow by leaps and bounds. I soon began to understand. We learn and feel with heart and hand. The eyes see but the shape of things. I soon began to understand what vision true perception brings. The eyes see but the shape of things. He moved me and enlightened me. What vision true perception brings? The blind man showed me how to see. This one is entitled, I Must Miss You Again. I must miss you again as the stars light my way through the loneliest paths of the night. As my quest for your spirit at dusk of each day leaves me wistful, in mind of the plight of the heart-sick explorer who brooks love's delay while his fantasies wait to take flight. I am he who eyes through the lens of his mind a relentless review of the past, like an invalid creature all kept and confined to his hospital bed and his cast, with his thoughts as his only companion, the kind whose intensity fades much too fast. Though the orb that illumines us who labor below offers warming relief in the main, I have places inside where its heat cannot go, places arid and barren and plain. You must radiate heat to melt fast through my snow. You must water my roots with your rain. Oh, I move as I should and arrange my affairs as society shows us we must. And I'm clothed in the garb that civility wears, that we've all been conditioned to trust. But my fabric is threadbare and easily tears, and it blows off my shoulders like dust. I must miss you again as the stars disappear in the earliest blush of the dawn, as a you of my dreams ever lingering near for my yearning to fasten upon, till I open my eyes on my pain and my fear and discover my dream and you gone. The last one I'll share is entitled, If God Wrote a Poem. If God wrote a poem, he would not begin as I do, slouching in artistic impotence before a blank screen, floundering through a sea of mental drool, hoping to happen upon some poetic pearl. If God wrote a poem, it would come in no euphonious cacophony of unorthodox expression, no desperate rush of buying verbs or ineffectual adjectives, page-bound plebeians groping for purchase, slipping and sliding on the shifting stage of conceptualization, struggling vainly to capture and organize the scattered pieces of life's icons and emblems and plop them onto parchment. If God wrote a poem, its ideas would not loll languidly within the bulging confines of Device's cell. For a God who tickled the ear with rhyme, utilized the obvious artifice of alliteration, the page full of hyperbole, or traded in the counterfeit currency of metaphor would be like, well, like a man. If God wrote a poem, it would be immune to analysis, above interpretation, beyond critique. Beauty-boasting deistic Genesis can only be appreciated. If God wrote a poem, it would be.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. Please help yourself to refreshments, and if the winners would want to come forward and get a photo with our judge, that would be wonderful. Thank you all for coming.